I'm Nongebo Vukile Mackenzie, and this is the podcast, Sawubona. Every fortnight, a guest joins us for a conversation or to share a story. It's a pleasure to share these with you and to have you with us. Welcome, Ngiyakwamukela, to another episode of Nongebo Mackenzie, the podcast. So it's really a pleasure and an honor to welcome our guest on this episode of the podcast, Professor Nokuthula Sibiya, Vice-Chancellor of Mangosuthu University of Technology, one of the phenomenal women leaders of our time. It's such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Nongebo. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, you meet people at various stages of their life. Sure. And we've obviously met you now, well, some of us, now when you are Vice-Chancellor Wase MUT, yes, which is not an easy journey to get there. Your background is in nursing. We're meeting you, so Professor, or so Vice-Chancellor, but let's take it from your nursing days.
Yeah. People often think that the job of the nurse is to give medication and to give an injection. So I prove them wrong. Yes, my background is nursing, and upon completion of my degree, I realized that bedside nursing was not my place. Not that I look down upon people who take care of patients at the clinics or at the hospitals, but I decided to focus mostly on producing more nurses because I realized that the country needed more nurses. So I left the bedside nursing. I only practiced as a nurse for only 6 months. Then I resigned. My colleagues thought that I was crazy because remember, you earn a salary whilst you're on training as a nurse. And after resigning, I did not have a salary. I went back to the university to study nursing education, nursing administration, honors in nursing. And remember, at that time, I did not earn a salary. And upon completion, then I started my journey as an academic. Of course, focusing in nursing. I did not live in nursing because even my master's, my PhD is in nursing.
What was the push, though, for you? Because, yes, you're saying that you realized that bedside nursing wasn't for you, but what was the push? Because you could have, gone into another field, still related to medicine and healthcare. Sure. But what was the push for you to take it to the academia level?
Nursing is a calling. Yes. I'm sure, Nongebo, you know about that. Nursing is a calling. So because it was a calling for me, I realized, you know what? Rather than leaving my profession, let me study further and improve myself along the lines of nursing. And as I indicated, I realized that there were few nurses. And again, it was during the time when nurses were leaving the country in their numbers.
Yes, the brain drain. Yeah.
Yes, the brain drain. It was very bad.
Yes.
So I decided, you know what? Rather than leaving my profession and start another journey, let me produce more on studying further, so as to contribute towards the mass production of nurses.
Yes. So with that, how does it get to PhD level? Because that's no easy journey.
For my entire life,
yes,
I've been that kind of a child who loved studying, who loved books.
Yes.
So I decided, let me focus on studying.
Yes.
Much as I'm in nursing, let me improve my studies.
Yes.
So that's how I decided, you know what? The ceiling for me is PhD. And that's exactly what I did. By the way, Nongebo, I'm also a researcher. Currently, I'm an NRF-rated scientist. That shows, yes, that I love studying, I love research. So that's why I decided, you know what, I will not rest until I get my PhD. But of course, PhD in nursing.
In nursing.
Yes.
Okay. The thing is, to the layman, and I can hear it in my head, wenza isimango Nokuthula, wafundela ubunesi, wavele wawuyeka umsebenzi ongahluphi, ezosebenza kahle ngibengeka uswele umsebenzi nama-benefit, une-housing, une-medical, wavele wabuyela esikoleni. Because we think once, especially when you go into a profession, whether you're a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, those professions, once you go into it, there's a perceived level of stability. And there's a perceived, yes, there's growth. In any profession, you can grow to its pinnacle and beyond. And, there's the academia that's tangential to that as well. But what is perceived as the typical route to go is usungenile, bambelela ke manje. Especially you're a black woman in those times, where they're thinking, as in, ukuze ube nozinzo, ukuze izinto zakho zihleleke, uzakhela umuzo. Uyazi bezothenga umuzo omuhle kanjani ngale mali abeyihola ka-government.
Say it again. Yes. That's why I said, even my colleagues thought that I was crazy at that time.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, my parents were very supportive. So when I told them I want to resign, I want to go back, and I said, no. Continue studying, we'll support you. So remember, I did say that when I was on training, I was earning a salary.
Yes.
In fact, not a salary, it's a stipend. Because I remember my first salary was 212. But it was good money at that time. Because I did not even need that 212. So when I told my parents that I wanted to resign to go back to further my studies, I said, no. Sky is the limit. We'll support you. You tell us once you are done. So for me, it was not a challenge because I was eager to study further. As I indicated, I'm a South African nurse at heart. That is why even when my colleagues left the country in their numbers to go to Saudi Arabia, to go to UK, I decided I'm going to remain here so as to contribute to the growth of my profession.
When it comes to the research side of your life, so obviously you research, you write papers, you publish, you're NRF rated. Your area or your key area of interest?
My focus area is primary health care with specific focus on maternal and child health.
Okay.
Yes. For my PhD, I developed a model for the integration of primary healthcare services. When, let me make a scenario. A pregnant woman goes to the clinic and is bringing the child for immunization, and maybe another one who's not well. This woman will be made to join different queues. She will start by joining a queue for antenatal care, and then join another queue for immunization, and then leave that queue, join another queue, so that the baby that is not well is taken care of. So the model that I developed for my PhD is a model that focuses mainly on integrating primary health care service, so that when a pregnant woman comes to my consulting room, I give all the services, so that this woman does not end up spending the whole day joining the queue, moving from this queue to another queue. So I'm so excited that the model that I developed was adopted by the Department of Health when it came up with the concept primary healthcare re-engineering.
Yes.
So that, because at that time we had so many women that did not comply, that defaulted coming for treatment. Remember, most of our women, they work as domestic workers, they work as whatever. So if ever you take time off to go to the clinic, then you don't get your wages for that particular day. So this model that I developed, it actually contributed towards this PhD re-engineering, so that my study talks about one-stop shop.
Yes.
That when you get to the nurse's room, you get all the services that you need, and then you go home. Yeah.
It must be such a wonderful feeling, though, seeing something that lived in your head change policy, change the practicality of people's lived experience. It must be such a beautiful feeling.
That's exactly what I always tell my students. By the way, I'm still actively involved in postgraduate supervision. I always tell the student that I supervise, either for master's or PhD, that when you approach me to be your supervisor, please come with a study that will have an impact on people's life.
Yes.
For my honors, I did a study on teenage pregnancy. I always tell my students, I don't want any student that will come in and do teenage pregnancy, because I did teenage pregnancy ages ago, 1992, when I did my honors. In 2025, we have not addressed this issue of teenage pregnancy. So what's new that you're going to investigate that would have an impact, so that we address this issue So if ever you want to focus on teenage pregnancy, tell me what's going to be the impact. Because there's so many studies that have been done. TB, so many studies that have been done on TB. So what is novel? What's new that will come out of your study? So coming back to your question, for me, it was so fulfilling to come up with a study that actually influence policymaking in South Africa. And that's what I want to encourage other researchers, that when they do their research, they must focus on research that would influence policy.
Is it not unnerving, though? I can't imagine my research supervisor being the whole VC. Is it not unnerving for your students?
It is, but I must indicate that for a vice-chancellor, it's not a requirement for me to supervise, because I need to focus mainly on running the institution as the accounting officer of the university. But because I'm a researcher at heart, I still supervise. 2 weeks ago, I graduated a PhD and a master's student at DUT, because I'm appointed there as the adjunct professor. So I do it out of love. I have already graduated 65 masters and 35 PhD students. So this year, it's 100 students. So I'm starting to tone down now, because I've reached my target, because I did indicate that I will rest after graduating 100 students. So I've already reached my target. So as from next year, I'll be toning down, so as to focus mostly on my job that is very much demanding. Running a university is not a child's play.
I was about to say that in amongst running the institution, and I think running the institution administratively is not just about the signature. It's not about the forms. It's not about the meetings. It's the lobbying. It's the lobbying to change the lives of people who every year log on to that system or come onto campus because they want a better future for themselves. And it must be such a weight to be entrusted with that promise that when you come to this institution, you will walk out transformed, sharpened, and ready for the outside world.
You've said a mouthful, Nongcebo. You know, when I look at Mangosuthu is the only university that is located in a township. And the majority of our students, I think about 80%, are funded by the state. So it tells you about the profile of the student that we have. The majority of them are first generation university students.
Yes.
So that's why beginning of this year, I invited all parents of first year students at Mangosuthu. You won't believe it. The hall was full to the T.
Goodness me.
They came into that. They said, Prof, we've never been invited by the Vice-Chancellor. So tell us what's in there for our kids. You know, so it was quite exciting.
What was that about for you?
You know, I decided, you know what, let me invite parents so that I introduce myself.
Yes.
Because remember, some of them, I will only be seeing them after 4 years.
Yes.
When they come for graduation ceremony.
Yes.
You know, I decided, let me create a platform where I will engage with the parents. In fact, I did only a 15 minutes speech. I said, I'm going to keep it short. And then it was Q&A. In fact, the program was supposed to end within 2 hours. But it went, I think, we stopped when it was going for 3 hours. Because, you know, the engagements that I had with the parents, it was so fulfilling. And it was quite exciting. And again, I would like to encourage other vice-chancellors to do so that at least we engage with parents. Because the only time we see them, it's only when it's on graduation. Some applies to our students. I remember during my days of being a student, I only saw the vice-chancellor on the graduation day.
Yes.
Never had the opportunity. That is why this year I also had what I refer to as VC's conversation, where I would invite all staff members and students. I said, let's have conversations, ask any questions. Again, I'll do a short presentation, and then we'll reflect on the mission, vision of the university and what's in there for them. You know, what are my short-term, medium, and long-term plans. So it assists. It assists when you engage with your key stakeholders, being students, workers, and parents.
And I think what's powerful about that is if you are looking, as we were talking about it now, if you look at the profile, the student profile, first generation tertiary education, and then the parent gets to step on there with their child. It's such a powerful moment. It is a powerful moment. And you know how Oma Betu will be. Yes.
So if ever you're comfortable, please let's converse in isiZulu, and if you are comfortable, English and whatever language. So yeah, it was a great moment. It was a solemn moment for me to engage with the parents, to get that opportunity. And again, when I was looking around the room, it was quite exciting to see the daughter seated next to the mother.
Yes.
And the father seated next to it was quite it was a very precious moment for me. Yeah.
But as a leader, as a woman leader, as a woman leader in the South African education system, that's no small feat, number one, and that's no small job.
I'm sure, Nokuthula, you are aware that we have 26 public universities in South Africa. When I was appointed as the first woman Vice-Chancellor at Mangosuthu, by the way, we were celebrating 45 years. It took Mangosuthu 45 years to realize that a woman can also be in the driver's seat. UNISA, I know that the Vice-Chancellor there was appointed after 109 years of existence of UNISA. But out of 26 universities, I think at the moment we have 9 women versus 17 are still males. Because the perception out there is that these positions are best suited for males.
Wow.
But again, it's historical, Nongcebo. Remember your mother. Her place was in the kitchen. Be in the kitchen, you cook for men, you cook for the kids, whilst your dad goes to work whatever, and you see your dad once a year in December and so forth. So this is historical. And again, I always say, even higher education institutions are structured in such a way that they favor males. Because when you look at the demographics of highest decision-making body, let's say council, mostly it's males. Looking at Senate, this is the highest decision-making body for academic matters, it's still males. Let me talk about my executive management committee meeting. I am the only woman, we're now 2, with voting powers. The rest are males. So think of the decisions that are made there. Those are the decisions that would favor males, So yeah, we are still lacking. I know that the state president talks about 50-50, but in higher education, we are not yet there.
So here's my point of curiosity. If decisions are being made by males, and this is not a gender attack, it's a reality of our population demographics. And we've got majority females, and we've got majority female-headed households, and we've got majority female students coming into institutions. There's the issue of relatability there, because you make decisions based on your paradigm, based on your understanding, based on your viewpoint of the context that you're operating in.
Yeah, sure.
And it seems to me that there's a disjuncture between how things are operationalized and how decisions are taken versus what we say we stand for as outcomes.
Okay.
And that sounds confusing and scary at the same time.
Yes, it is. Remember, it's the majority rules. When decisions, people have voting powers.
Yes.
People who have voting powers, the decision is based on the majority vote. So if there are more males, and the decision tends to align or incline towards male votes,
Yes.
so obviously you won't win. Because it's mostly males. And the challenge is, Nokuthula, you spoke about the majority. At graduation ceremonies, it's always announced that we have the females outnumber males at the graduation. But that's at undergraduate level. But as you go up, going to honors, masters, remember we get married?
Yes.
Again, we have to get pregnant, we have to take care of our kids.
Yes.
So the number gets smaller and smaller. And by the time you get to PhD, males outnumber females.
Yeah.
Because now we're busy. We have to take care of our families. We have to give birth to our kids. So yeah.
And
sad.
it's a self-reinforcing.
Self-reinforcing. Exactly.
It's a self-reinforcing cycle.
Yes, it is. It is.
And that places a huge challenge for somebody like yourself, who you have a vision, you have an ideal future in mind, and you have to sit and you've got to convince a whole room of people who might not necessarily be opposed to the idea, but because they can't understand the impact of the idea, it's hard for them to relate to voting positively for it.
That's true. That is why now and again you have to keep on engaging.
Yeah.
Create platforms.
Yes.
Sell your idea. Sell your vision. Sell. Today it's on a day before yesterday, I delivered a State of the University address, and again it was another platform for me to share my vision.
Yes.
Yeah. I make use of each and every platform that I get to sell my idea, so as to win, so that at least there is buy-in.
Yes.
To my vision as a woman Vice-Chancellor of the university.
And your vision is?
As I indicated, MUT is a it's the only university that is located at Umlazi. And again, it is strategically positioned there. I know most people, when they look at MUT, they look at that as a disadvantage. I always look at it as an advantage, because it gives us an opportunity to be anchored within Umlazi, the very same community that we serve. So my vision is to ensure that MUT is the university of choice, becomes the university of choice, especially for the poor of the poorest. Because basically, those are the kind of students that we get. Students who come from well-to-do families, they go to so-called A-rated universities.
Yes.
So I want to give the best to the very same students who happen to choose MUT.
But I think also, going back to the point that you were making, that you encourage your students to pursue lines of questioning and lines of research that will result in impact. Isn't that a perfect space to be in, where you are seeing the real lived experience that you will have an impact upon? Not taking away from the tier 1 universities that are a little bit removed from the reality of the problems that we need to solve. But again, when you are in the thick of it, when you live it, when you have to walk through it to get to campus, for you, it keeps that lubrication going of, this is why I'm here, this is why I'm doing this is the goal.
And again, Nokuthula, I need to indicate that I'm at an advantage, because I was born, raised, I always say battered, as in BUTER, at Umlazi.
Yes.
So I understand the challenges that my students are going through.
Yeah.
Because I grew up at Umlazi, having to walk a distance to reach my school.
Yes.
Where I did not have, where I studied in schools where there were no resources. There was no library, or if the library was not there, not well resourced. So I understand the challenges that my students go through. So you brought in the notion of lived experiences. So that's exactly what I often say even to my colleagues, that please let's understand. Let's understand the kind of students that we have. I always pose the question to my colleagues, do you know who our students are?
Yes.
Because in order for you to be able to pitch your lecture at whatever level, in order for you to know how to impart knowledge, you need to understand who your students are. Who are they? Where are they coming from?
And for you, that full circle, that full circle of starting out Umlazi, your journey, but then coming back and leading a beacon of an institution, because yes, it's MUT, but it's Mangosuthu University of Technology. That name has got a lot of history attached to it. There's a lot of legacy behind that name. Just the name, before you get to the legacy of the institution itself.
Sure.
That for you as a full circle moment?
It's quite exciting.
Yeah.
I never thought, because I remember I used to drive past, in a taxi past Mangosuthu, but it's because Mangosuthu did not offer nursing. So I never thought that one day I would set my foot at that university as a Vice-Chancellor. So maybe if ever they had offered, at that time they offered, even now they don't offer nursing, I would have started there. But serving the community that made me who I am.
Yes.
Because it takes the village to grow a child. So it's very much fulfilling for me to serve the community that made me who I am. So for me, it's time for me to give back to Umlazi community.
Prof, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I think, again, the issue of relatability, the issue of people seeing themselves in you, I think it's so important, and it goes such a long way. But also, if you look at it from a full spectrum point of view, there's an academic who looks at you and they're not a professor yet, and they're like, oh, I want to be. There's a person who's not a VC at this point who are maybe at executive dean level, and they look at you. But there's also a little girl, Umlazi, othi mayezwa ukuthi umuntu ophethe Mangosuthu University of Technology. Kempela ma, owala. That is so important. But also, you are a black woman, and the way that you engage and interact, that's why it's so easy for those mothers to come and baphelezele iy'ngane zabo. But also, there's this huge thing, yes, with black people, ukuthi umuntu akahambi yedwa siyamkhapha, siyamphelezela. And that is what, for me, that session you had with the mothers is about. Bengimuphelezele siyokhuluma no VC. And mothers and parents take pride in that. And your embodiment of that is beyond just your administrative role at the helm of the institution. So with all of that, it's been such an honor, and it's been such a pleasure to have this conversation with you. And truly, may we learn from the likes of you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the podcast. Remember, you can like the episode and share the podcast link, as well as listen to more episodes on the channel. Subscribe to the channel for more. Siyabonga. Thank you for listening.